My name is David Blount. I'm a fourth year PhD student at the University of Utah, and I'm a large carnivore ecologist looking at how bears, wolves, and lynx interact with humans and kind of some of the ways they go about living in human dominated ecosystems. So, my study area, most of my research is actually done in Northeast Turkey, where I go over there for about 2 months out of the year and trap all three species bears, wolves, and lynx and I put a GPS collar on them. I also put about 60 camera traps into the field that give me a lot of really good information and how these animals are interacting with each other, their environments, and a lot of good information like that. So this population, this is actually the first known population of migratory brown bears ever documented. So we started the project about 2011, and within the first 2 years, we started seeing bears that would during the hyperphagic season. So to describe what that is bears have kind of 4 seasons of their life cycle. So we all know about bears denning. They go in and they hibernate, go into torpor. We're not going to argue about that. But they go to sleep most of the winter. They come up and it takes them a little bit of time to kind of get readjusted. And we call that the post-denning time. Then they go into the breeding cycle. And then after that, they really focus on eating as much food as they can to get ready to go back into hibernation again. So I'm sure a lot of y'all are aware of Fat Bear Week that the National Park Service has. And that's that hyperphagic season is what we call it. And so this population of bears during this season just goes 40 kilometers away. So that's what is that, almost 20 something miles. They just go migrate far away, spend some time in these other areas, and then they come back right before they den again. We don't know why they do it. So there's 8 species of bears in the world. Black bears and polar bears, we know that they migrate sometimes. There's a really neat study out of the US that shows that black bears migrate when there's not enough food. And we know that polar bears go on these extreme wild migrations to find food each year out on the Arctic ice. But now we know that brown bears also do this. So we're still looking, trying to figure out why they do that. So while I was in the field this last year, I was able to go out to the areas that they migrate to. Um, I got to talk to some of the locals on the ground, and it was really interesting. They had an exact date. They said August 10th, these bears come here. They're not here at all during the year, and then August 10th, they come here. And so it looks right now like they're coming in whenever the harvest comes in. So there's a lot of grains that are being harvested at the time. A lot of fruit trees are in season during that time. And so it looks like these bears may also be migrating to find food, which makes sense. Remember, they're really hungry at this time. So they're migrating to these areas to find a different type of food source that isn't available back in their original environment. Only when that food is ripe, they're staying until that food is no longer there, and then they go back home. So we think that's why they're migrating. We're still making sure we can document this and really prove that that's why they're there. But right now, that's looking like why they're probably migrating. Yeah. So first of all, large carnivores in general. So that's any animal in the carnivore uh, order that's over 15 kilograms, so about 30 pounds. Uh, Terrestrial carnivores are really, really hard to conserve. First off, because of how big their home range is. They go very far distances because they have to eat a lot of food. It makes them really hard for conservation. Um, and so all throughout probably the 1800s until about the 1970s, pretty much all populations, and especially brown bears, their populations were decimated across the US, across Europe, probably across Asia. Um, until about 1970s when the Endangered Species Act passed in the United States and the Berne Convention passed in Europe. And then those put protections in place for these animals. And so since about the 1970s, 1980s, populations have started rising from really, really low numbers. We're not exactly sure what the population of bears in Turkey was like during this time, but just based on all the other information, it was probably very low as well. Turkey itself in about the early 2000s started putting in progressively more restrictions on hunting, and the populations come back really, really well to about 3,000 bears in the area.